Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to the stream. Wow, we got 10 people just from hitting the opening reel. This is one of those days, actually like many days, when 90 seconds ago I was completely 100% busy doing something totally different. And now here we are. Hello, context switching is hard. Welcome to the glorious future. So,
I've been climbing.
So I've been exercising and I like regularly. Like I've cycled to the top of Crystal Palace Park every day this week, and I don't like exercising because I don't like people who like exercising, and I don't want to become one of them. But I'm sort of slightly grudgingly having to admit it's really helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I've been doing climbing, which is technically exercise, and I'm definitely like getting fit and stuff from doing it. But it basically feels like playing. And the climbing hangar in Sheffield, where I go, they have color-coded routes, and it sort of goes up in difficulty. So you've got grey, green, orange, blue, purple, pink, red, and then I forget which way round it is, yellow and white, and then black's the hardest. And I did my first pink today.
Awesome.
Which from sort of starting on the greens 4 months ago, I'm pretty pleased with that. So yes.
I'm just looking up. You've just reminded me of a thing. No, I'm wrong. I'd misremembered something. I thought there was some hilarious thing about ski runs, like in ski resorts. In Europe, they're generally color-coded from green is the easiest. Like green is basically for total beginners.
Yes.
And blue is kind of accessible, and red is a little bit gnarly, and black is like you seriously need to know what you're doing before you point yourself down this hill.
Yeah.
And
then I believe there's like black diamond, which is
there's black diamond.
Solid lump of ice, and you're just going to put one ski on it, and then you'll be at the bottom. And many things may happen to your body on the way.
Yes, I've got the X-rays to prove that part.
Yes.
Anyway, right. What's on our agenda for today?
We said we were going to look at agents.
Yes.
Sub-agents.
So I don't know what a sub-agent is.
Well, so Claude, Claude Code specifically.
Yes.
As you are doing things, everything you type in and pretty much everything Claude says back to you, but also everything it reads and stuff, goes into the context window.
Yes.
So it gets turned into the tokens, and the tokens go into the context window, and it has a maximum size of 200,000, at which point it will go and compact it.
Yes.
But it actually has a kind of working size. They generally say, and this isn't a Claude specific thing, this is all agents. Once you get to about 60% of the context window, you should maybe think about sort of starting a new session. So say you go off, you tell Claude to go and search the web, or search a folder full of files or something, to find some information. And so if it's downloaded the entire Stack Overflow page or Wikipedia article or Docs, Mozilla Docs page or whatever, into the active context window for the conversation that you're having, that would fill it up quite quickly. And so actually, without you needing to know anything about it at all, Claude is already using sub-agents where it says, okay, go off and search things, and it may launch multiple agents in parallel. And then if you have found good information, summarize it for me. And so that sub-agent has its own context window, goes and finds the thing, summarizes it, which is like, that is LLM's bread and butter, is summarize this these like 2,000 words in 200 words. And
Actually,
then it returns that back to the
so
context that you're actually talking to.
An interesting example of this, which I hit this week. Somebody sent me a presentation, which was entirely in Norwegian and was not available to download. The only way to do it was to sign into a sort of web player and click through the slides. And the slides were, it wasn't like you could right click save as, because they weren't images, they were HTML and you know. None of the translation tools worked, because it couldn't, the content was probably, I don't know how. I don't know how they managed to do this, but I know the thing that I could see, but I couldn't download it, I couldn't machine translate it, I couldn't do anything with it. So what I did is I screenshotted each slide. So this one, next, screenshot, next, screenshot. So I end up with about 60 PNG files in a folder on disk. And then I went into Claude Co-work, which is, in my experience, a frustrating combination of being brilliant and being mind-buggeringly stupid. Because when it works, it's amazing. But in my experience, over half the time, it just fails because it can't read its own folder, or because it's lost track of the file that it was looking at a second ago. So clearly there's some sort of, I don't know if it's because I'm on Windows or because I've got a slightly weird setup. I don't use like the C users Dylan documents thing for most. Anyway, and so I said to it, type into the chat window, there's a bunch of PNG files here. Please make me a PDF where each page has the original image at the top and then the English translation of the text underneath. And it thought for about 4 minutes. And then it went, error, maximum context token size exceeded, change this environment variable. And I'm like, now, at that point, I'm like, well, change it to what? Don't just say you hit a limit. Like, do I set it to 1 billion? Do I set it to 100 gazillion? Do I? And so what I did instead is I said, find the first file here and make me a 1-page PDF with the, and it did it. It's like, yeah, there you go. And I'm like, right, that looks pretty good. I said, now do it for the second file. And it did it. And I said, now repeat that for every other thing. And it went, righto, I will read all of them. And I control break and stop. Do not do that. Otherwise you will spanner yourself. Do it one at a time, read one file, create 1 page of PDF, and only then move on to the next one, which is like micromanaging a dickhead. It really is. But it did it. And so the dickhead can speak fluent Norwegian and translate it into English and make PDFs. It just doesn't know that if it tries to do it for more than 5 pages at a time, it's going to fall over its own shoelaces. Which was a very enlightening experience. So eventually I got what I needed at the other end of it. And then I used Adobe to put them all back into a single file because I didn't want 60 PDFs, I wanted 1. And it was this sort of interesting, okay, so at the kernel of all of this, there is a piece of technology which is astonishing and can do amazing things and is really smart. And around it, there are still a lot of what feel to me like, rough edges and unsolved problems about how to turn the limitations of that kernel into a good user experience. Because it was a great outcome, but the user experience was hostile. And if I hadn't been a bloody-minded developer with 3 decades of experience, I'd probably have given up and just said, Claude doesn't work, and tried again in another 6 months.
This is the thing with co-work. I'm sure you know, but just for people who are watching, the way co-work happened was that developers, people who were sort of comfortable using Claude Code, were CDing into directories that just contained Word documents or PDFs or images or whatever, and launching Claude Code and going, hey, can you sort these videos and do stuff for me? And leaving that running. And so the people at Anthropic went, oh, well, if people can do that, then we could build that into the desktop client. But I think
I didn't actually try it using Claude Code. Maybe that would have been an interesting thing to try.
So, I mean, sort of, as a developer and
we're not going to do that on stream because I don't want to get anybody into trouble by putting the presentations that I've been working with on a live stream. But if anything similar comes up, I'm now at that point where anytime I have an interesting problem to work on, I'm sort of going, would this be a good thing to do on the stream? Just because it can do so many different things, and it's interesting seeing how tools like this are slowly influencing different little bits and pieces of the kind of stuff that we do. So anyway, agents.
So agents, yes. Like I say, Claude is already using, Claude Code specifically is already using sub-agents to do certain tasks to maximize its own context window for the conversation you're having.
Yeah.
But what we can do is we could copy the developer and the reviewer prompts and possibly take out the bits about talking like a pirate and an English butler, because I'm not sure that's going to be particularly helpful in this case.
I have a theory that even if we take them out, they're not going to disappear. I think that those are now, that they're stuck in the matrix. But let's see.
But then we can actually, so we copy those into create an agents directory. And then put a developer.md and a reviewer.md in there. And then we can give our actual Claude Code session a prompt that says, use a developer agent to make these changes and the reviewer agent to review them, and automatically give the feedback from the reviewer to the developer, and keep doing that until there are no critical or warning issues, and then give me the final, come back to me. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Let's see what happens. So before we do that, just a quick catch up for us and for the folks who are watching who maybe haven't been keeping up with everything we've done so far. Let me open up a terminal window because the future is command line based. There it is. And I'm going to share that screen, which is share screen. Which screen? That screen. That screen. Yeah, share that. All right. So CD Claude stuff. And let's just do a Claude. I've got a Claude dev PowerShell alias that runs Claude with its developer hat on. And I'm just going to do a quick where were we?
Yeah.
So we got at the end of the last one, we just, if you were watching, kind of went a couple of rounds with Claude on getting drag and drop to work exactly right in our little player interface for the thing that we are working on, which is a multi-screen, multi-headed media player. And got to the point where it will let you create shows and drag files around and adjust the volume level of individual tracks, but it won't actually play anything. But the sort of key point, I think, for this is that all of this is being worked through based on an implementation plan that Claude wrote for us while wearing an architect's hat. Which is, if I open Typora, we can take a look at that while Claude is having a little think in the background. Let's open, where were we? Claude stuff. There we go. And so in our, where did it go? We had a file in here somewhere. Implementation plan.md, that's the one. And so this gave us basically 8 phases from, is this thing even gonna fly, to here is your gin and tonic and salted nuts, enjoy the in-flight movie. And so we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is the one that we did yesterday. And at the end of that one, I was like, right, at this point, we aren't really learning anything more by asking the Claude developer to do the next phase and then asking the reviewer to review it. And so the question I had at the end of the last one was, all right, how do we just make it go? How do we sort of hands off, Claude, hey, do this until it's done, and then come and interrupt me. Hello, Siliku. Hey, been watching the series VODs. First time I had to get this live. Thanks for making this. You're welcome. It's been a lot of fun.
We're enjoying ourselves, and also thank you to Jason who was with the waiter. I assume that was Go. But yeah,
no, wait to foe. It's how the toolkit's
find out
now. Yeah.
I got on the wall. I found out.
Dev F4F, I gave my Claude teams a little Kanban board that they use to assign each other tasks. They can comment and add files and link to other tasks. It's like a product manager's wet dream containing context. Why do we need product managers? Discuss. If Claude can talk to Claude and just tell you when it's finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we've done the sort of two sub agents talking to each other thing, by the way, the next step is to take your laptop out of it completely, hook Claude up to the GitHub repository, put in an Anthropic API key, and then you can just open an issue and at Claude at the start of it, and then it'll open a pull request. And you can close your laptop and yes. Later on, by the way, if people just want to spend your entire Friday afternoon / evening on YouTube with me, I'm going to be talking to Ben Decry, who is I keep seeing him chatting about how he's essentially telling Claude what to write and code and stuff through WhatsApp, and I'm fascinated by this. I assume it's some sort of open claw or something. So I'm going to be having a chat with him on stream. I will put a link in here, and it'll be on Blue Sky and all this sort of stuff. But yes, so that's at 5 o'clock UTC, which is like 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, because you've put the clocks forward, you East Coast Americans. But yes, so anyway, that's happening.
Cool. I may tune into the chat for that, but then I'm going to play guitar at the open mic night at a local pub.
Nice.
Because we have an absolute plethora of open mic nights popping up all over where I live at the moment, and it's brilliant.
Marvelous.
Anyway, right. So what are we going to do? So what I want to do for today is we got this part 6 of the plan, and let's just remind ourselves what part 6 is. Why are these not hyperlinked? Those should be hyperlinked.
So playback control and integration.
Hang on a second. Hey, I know you're a developer, but can you add hyperlinks to the phases in the table in the requirements spec, please? It's funny how the more time you spend working with this, there's that developer thing that I've had my whole life of how long will it take to fix this versus just doing it the long way around every time? How many times am I going to do it? How often is it going to be a problem? Does it make sense to automate it?
I love the way it's just gone.
Oh, you mean the implementation
there is
plan?
a table in that thing, but there is one in that one, so I'm going to assume you mean that. I'm not even asking your permission. I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then you should.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Nice. There we go. Okay, phase 6, end-to-end performance workflows, start playback, pause, operator hides, pressing space. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff to wire up in there. What I think is interesting about this one is it's a bunch of stuff that you can't really test unless you've got meat fingers. Because so much of this, you can mock keyboard commands and that kind of thing. But like Claude can't press escape because Claude doesn't have any fingers or a keyboard. So I'm very curious to see, because at this point, it's that kind of, the one you can read the code. What was the lovely quote from Donald Knuth? Be wary of the code in this example. I have proved it correct, but not tested it.
Yeah.
And we're very much in that kind of mindset, I think, of being able to kind of programmatically verify that it looks like all the right bits are joined up in the right order. But until you've actually pressed escape and verified it works, Let's say with I'm not putting it out there with my name on it. Is probably a place where I'm going to continue to draw the line for a while. So anyway, all right. So that's 6, and it's got some neat UI workflow stuff to wire up.
Yeah.
So let's make some agents. Let's make the thing happen.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go just go into the folder in like Explorer.
Yep. Did you know you can do that if you type start in Windows? Yeah.
If you're on a Mac, open does the same thing. And so go into our personas or wherever we put them.
They're in .claude prompts is where I moved them to.
Right. So grab developer and QA.
Yep.
Copy them.
Yep.
And then go up, create a new directory called agents.
Mm-hmm.
And go in there and then paste them in, and then we just need to edit them very quickly. So we need to open.
To take out the pirate.
No, actually, it would be better to open. Well, yes, that too, but it would be better to open these in sort of code mode.
Yeah. Hang on.
Also, I'm pretty sure that is hiding your dot directory.
Yeah, the .claude is not showing up in Typora, which is fine.
So I would just open this in code, really.
Yeah, I can do that. Boom, 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 over there. Oh, yes, there we go. There's that. There's the .claude. There are the agents. Yes.
Yeah. Right. So at the top of where's my crib sheet? So to turn this into an agent file rather than just a persona file, we need to put some YAML front matter at the top.
Okay.
So that's where you have.
Before we do that, as you can see from what's on the screen, we used a prompt. We used Claude Chat to write this markdown file for us, and told it to make it talk like a pirate, which means there is no way we're going to get rid of talking like a pirate unless we mint a fresh prompt.
It's fine. We can we can mint a fresh prompt, but
I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's keep the developer pirate, and we'll mint a fresh prompt for the QA so we can compare whether there's any meaningful difference between the two. Okay. So we need to put in some front matter.
Front matter, which is a -- sort of block at the top.
Yeah.
And then in there we're going to put name : and just put developer.
So this is So this is Copilot is running inside VS Code, and it's got, I think, the Claude Opus 4.5 model. Which would probably
switch that to Sonnet or something, or possibly
I'll switch it to GPT.
Oh yes, because then you're not using the Claude.
Because then I'm not using Claude tokens.
And also getting ChatGPT to write a Claude agent file.
Which one
is funny?
That right? Let's configure inline suggestion. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Right. Name developer.
And then you need a description. That'll do. And then after that, you want tools.
Is there any significance to the description, or is it just for humans?
No. So theoretically, given the description, Claude will automatically find and use agents if you.
So this is interesting. Comment in the chat. Wouldn't the lead agent have to translate pirate speak every time it gets a ping from the developer? Then seems like unfortunate overhead. Is this?
I think the developer's not really going to be talking to the reviewer very much. The reviewer will be talking to the developer, but the developer is just getting on and doing stuff. So probably not. That
it would be so. Let's not right now, but let's come back to the idea. I'm interested in how terse we can make the conversation that takes place between the agents.
Yes.
So
you're you want capital letters on these. I'm working from a crib sheet here. So read, write, edit.
Yeah.
Bash.
So hang on a second. Where does this come from? Where do I look this up? How do I find out what the documentation for this tools thing is?
So history. It's not you. It's run custom sub agents. Available tools. Right. I'm putting this. I'm going to put it into Signal for you.
Yep.
And then I'm also going to pop it into the chat for everybody who's watching. There we go.
You didn't put that in Signal, and I can't click links in the chat.
I put it into a completely different. Hang on. Wrong chat. There's now a bunch of people expecting makeup and clothes chat. We're going, why are you linking me to the Claude code docs? Right, so here you go.
All right.
Tools available to Claude.
Yeah, okay. Boom, boom, boom. Claude Code has access to a set of powerful tools. All right. So agent is the one's a sub agent, ask a question, run bash, make cron things, delete cron things, list cron things, edit files, get work trees. That's something we'll get to in a future stream.
Yeah.
Globs. Oh, so many things. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
So yes, you can essentially you're sticking those into here.
Yeah.
So it needs edit. It needs bash, so it can run kind of .NET commands and things. Glob and grep. And possibly web search and web fetch, but leave it for the time being. Just put those as a sort of start point. And then the last thing you want is to set the model. So model colon and just put sonnet lowercase for that. There you go. So that is now an agent file.
Okay. Yep.
And then you can go. Let's go back into Claude Code and tell it to create a reviewer agent.
Oh, hang on. No, do not access my camera. So back into Claude Code, which is that window there. Yep. Just Claude.
And yep. Voice mode is now available.
Oh. Oh, all right, let's try it. So for the folks listening on the stream, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm talking to the machine. Hold space to record. Space. Please make me an agent persona for Claude, being a QA engineer that is going to review all of the WPF code written by the developer persona and put it in the agents folder as QA.md. Thank you very much. No speech detected.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind then.
Most people don't have this. Hang on. I think I know what the problem is. Most people don't have 6 microphones attached to the same computer. I think that is probably just
definitely true.
It doesn't. Where the hell is it? No. All right. Well, we'll do this the old-fashioned way. Please create a agent definition file for a QA engineer that will review the developer's work and put the file in agents/QA.md. Yes.
Yep.
It's found.
I would say no and tell it to overwrite the file completely.
This will be interesting to see whether it preserves the "you're an English butler" nonsense that we put in there. It still does.
Just go with it.
Yeah, what the hell. All right.
Defect reporting with the composed precision of a seed.
Yes.
Right. Now, interestingly,
yes,
it was given that read, write, edit, bash, glob, and grep, whereas ideally, the reviewer would just have read, glob, and grep. It certainly shouldn't need write or edit.
Yes, F4F. At some point, the streams got a little bit crossed. And so the butler thinks it's also serving on board ship.
It's a pirate butler. There you go. So that means it can run tests with bash.
Yeah. It can edit files with bash if it really wants to.
I mean, it could. I suppose it could awk and sed if it really needs to live. Certainly, if it was
the other day, it got confused about Windows versus Unix new lines in a text file and wrote a little Python script to fix them all by itself.
That's it.
Yes. Okay.
So yes, there you go.
Right.
And now, let's. Right.
I'm just going to add the agent definitions for developer and QA. Oh, yeah, and I renamed a couple of the others as well. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay. And then I think what we want to do now is basically load the developer persona, like with the -- system prompt file thing, or do your Claude -dev. And do the OPSX apply for phase 6. No, not apply, FF, the FF bit for the generating the artifacts and everything.
Yep.
And then exit out, go into just a plain Claude session.
So hang on.
Chat
so
about
FF
this.
Hasn't done anything.
I would 6 this.
Yep.
And just say let's move on to phase 6.
Phase 6 it is. Let me have a look at what's already been charted in this code base before we set sail.
So while it's doing that, dev F4F mentioned I'm confusing this with Claude Agent Teams, which is an experimental feature. So yes, Claude Agent Teams is an experimental feature. It's absolutely nuts. And it is essentially, it turns a single kind of laptop into a department. It can use Git work trees. It can operate on multiple things simultaneously. It is experimental, as Dev says. I haven't tried it yet because it's running like half a dozen agents on multiple. It burns tokens is essentially what I think I'm trying to say here. And at the moment, Dylan and I are both subsisting on $20 a month Claude. Once I'm going to start a Patreon and just go, hey, trying to raise $200 a month to pay for Claude. Will Claude for stuff. But yes, I mean, it maxed my max plan.
Get a little paper cup and sit outside the railway station with a handwritten cardboard sign saying, "Need $1 for Claude tokens."
Need $1 for Claude tokens. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes. But what else have we got down here? So yes, Micro 500 asks, would the QA need to be able to write to a document? In theory, no. So what we have been doing when we do this manually with the sort of human in the loop thing is we tell the QA persona to write its comments to a sort of feedback.md or a review.md or whatever it is, and then we can give that to the developer. But in this instance, theoretically, they will be communicating through the top level Claude session. So the QA will just spit out the tokens, which will be read by the top level Claude, which will then pass them across to the developer. And that removes the need for those intermediate files. So yes. So yeah, I think that's answered that question. Dev using Claude, it ran all sub-agents as Opus instead of one Opus orchestrator and Sonnet PR. Yeah, no, that'll do it, actually. It'll run all... I just had the most uncharitable thought ever. I was thinking... So, you know, the old kind of cliche about if you make a system idiot-proof, nature will invent a better idiot?
Yeah.
And I'm just going, haiku for testing. just use the stupidest. And yes, Bogorad, now do Gastown. So there's a bunch of stuff. The thing that I'm enjoying about all of this is that, you know, you come back after a weekend and Claude's added a bunch of new features like voice that we'll be charitable and we'll say if Dylan had used the right microphone or something.
So I'm pretty. Let's try that again. Actually, I think we did a disservice there. So input device. So this is the number of audio input devices.
Yeah.
If you were a normal person, this wouldn't have anything in it other than your laptop's built-in microphone.
Yeah.
But because I use this machine for all kinds of media stuff, if I set the input default to be the Yeti, which is the mic I use for streaming and stuff,
yeah,
that will probably make it work. But we'll wait until it's finished what it's doing.
I don't think I've seen that before as well. Use /BTW to ask a quick side question without interrupting Claude's current work.
Okay, default input device. Claude Code doesn't handle audio. Any voice to text would be happening at the OS before the text reaches me. Oh, that's interesting. So let me just try. I'm just going to try that voice thing again. Right, voice mode. Oh, is it still thinking? Oh,
it's still doing its stuff for tasks and so on.
It's still open specking. How feasible, like given the state of technology at the moment, how far could you get doing this sort of stuff with a local model instead of cloud?
That is an interesting question. I was having a chat with David Whitney yesterday, I think. He is attempting to resist the urge, and you know, David, he's going to fail. Yeah. He will cave, and he will order himself a MacBook Pro with the M5 Max chip with 128 gigabytes of unified memory.
Yeah.
So if you have that, you could run open code or Pi, or a sort of open source alternative. Actually, you could run Claude and tell Claude to use a different LLM than Claude. But you could quite easily run a very large for local model, and the most interesting ones at the moment, there's K2 or K2.5 actually, Minimax, and there's a new Qwen. There's a Qwen 3.5.
Let's do an experiment. So I'm just going to. Do you know anything about a model called K2.5? You see the way it's got a little VU meter made out of ASCII art?
Yes.
Okay. Voice works. Yeah.
So the interesting thing with voice is, I think we've sort of mentioned this briefly before. I certainly have said it in some contexts. I can see how for no, it's none of those. But for users who are not necessarily particularly good at typing, which I think is quite a lot of day-to-day end users, I can see voice being incredibly helpful. But when you're trying to be more precise and controlled, I think basically having backspace and being able to kind of go, yes, I am now happy with the sentence or paragraph that I have typed.
Yes.
Before Claude gets its hands on it. And obviously the way this is working, where it is essentially just typing into the thing, that's a really nice kind of halfway house between the two options. You can sort of blur it all out, but then go back and edit. That's a nice thing. I'm guessing this one is for you.
Maybe. I have more than one song. You know.
That's your song.
I have many songs. So check them out. DylanBT.net/music has all the song, and there's a bunch of songs that aren't even on the internet.
Dylan, actually, Dylan or the Line Breakers or something. We got a shout out from the Daily WTF.
Oh
at the end, with the sort of the daily story was about simplicity and everything, and they referenced the. Somebody told me the user provider, which was just
this anti-simplification. Or as the song goes, somebody told me the user provider should use an adapter to proxy the query factory builder. And if you check out DylanBT.net/music, there's a whole bunch of stuff on there. And there's a lot more, because we about half the songs that I write are written for YouTube, and then we do them with the band. And the other half are written for the band, and maybe they end up on YouTube at some point. And it basically comes down to who's going to do the singing, because the ones where I sing the lead, I tend to just record them myself. But there's quite a lot that I don't sing, because we get Heather to sing them. Because I am
at some point going to record the vocals for Coda. Myself, and I'm going to get Heather to record the vocals for Reply Guy. So those can go up probably on the Line Breakers channel.
Yeah, we can do that.
So yes.
Right, let's do some agenty things. So we've got a spec, we got a proposal for the thing.
Right.
We've got an OBS supply ready to fire, but we haven't fired.
But we are not going to do that. What we are going to do instead is we're just going to launch a plain Claude session.
Claude.
And we're going to say, so just a sort of start sentence,
Hang on a second. Kana says, "What's with the mic?" You're going to need to give us a bit of detail on what's with the mic. Yeah. Okay. Watch in case there's anything wrong with the mic. I can hear you, so it's probably fine.
Yes, I can hear you. So yes, you're going to say apply the changes, apply the tasks for phase 6.
Muffled. I don't think it's the mic, Kana713. Maybe it's your headset or your ears or your internet, or maybe there is a cat sleeping on your face. It all seems all right from this end. You're muffled. There is a little bit of crackling noise coming through, but I just always assume that's Sheffield internet not being very good.
I'm using a different headset. I'm using a different headset. I'm south of the wall. I'm using a different headset today, so that might be
that might be it.
Making things weird, but
I mean, there's a little bit of what sounds like MP3 artifact compression, but I don't really hear that anyway because.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, apply the tasks for phase 6. Full stop.
Yep.
And then something wrong with that. So use the developer agent to implement the changes.
Yep.
And then say loop until the QA returns no critical or warning issues.
Loop until the QA agent is satisfied. There are no critical errors or warnings. Yeah.
Then show me a final summary and review. And that's it. Yes.
Boom. And now presumably we just talk crap for half an hour while it does all the work.
Yes, that is the theory. So let's just make sure. Because why have you loaded the thing? Oh,
So Cheeseball only used Claude to help write a response to the government social media consultation. It's 25K words in and still not finished. I find it scary how much it can do without needing much correction. Something that I have, thought for a long while now, like a year or two, is there is a lot of pointless writing in the world. And something like a government social media consultation, we have, gradually as a society evolved to the point where if you are in charge of a lot of public money, you're not allowed to spend it unless you can produce an awful lot of homework, which doesn't really help. It just proves that a lot of people worked very hard before the money got spent. And, there are so many proposals and tenders and, staff reviews. I have worked for a lot of my career in companies where every 6 months, everyone has to fill out a form about how well they're doing and what they want to learn and what are their objectives. And I have never worked in a company where it made the blindest bit of difference, other than for a handful of individuals who worked out how to game the system. And we're like, the greatest thing was a bunch of us, smart engineers were like, right, we are an agile team who get told every 2 weeks, like, we agree, what are we going to do in the next 2 weeks? And someone wants us to write annual objectives. And so we got very, very good at writing objectives that were impossible to not hit. And that kind of thing. And, I just thinking through all of the, write a covering letter for a job application. And there was a time when that was a pretty good screening mechanism. But now that AI can do it, it's like, well done. You've got 50,000 CVs with 50,000 perfectly cogent, grammatically correct covering letters. How does that help anybody? And,
Yes. Sorry, I am multitasking like hell. But yes.
We have agents for that.
I need to get an agent that can set up the next stream that I'm doing so that I can post a link to and let Ben know where it is so that he can join me. But fun.
Okay, that's interesting. I guess Shift Tab and just let it do it, because we haven't yet really cleared all of the permissions. So even though we've told it just hands off, do the thing.
Yes, but this is we did this on purpose to demonstrate how the agent can ask questions and the orchestrator will sort of forward those questions on to you to continue. So this is something that can happen in the sub-agents mode. Obviously, in the Claude Teams mode, it doesn't work in the same way. And when you're doing the kind of GitHub, where the whole thing's just happening on a magic, like yellow submarine floating around in the clouds or whatever the hell's going on, flying submarines. Anyway,
they're called aeroplanes. We have those. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Pressurized tubes. One up there and the other down there, and us in between going hello. But yes, so when you're using the Teams thing, it's, and I think this is something where the way we've done this, where it's kind of like starting off with us being very, very involved. And having that kind of write it into a markdown file, and then I'll give that markdown file to the other persona, and running sort of multiple Claude terminals. And I do think, we're building a workshop, which we can do in 1 day or 2 days. We can do it online. We can do it in person, and you can have both of us will come and do it, or you can have one of us can come and do it. But yeah, the ideal sort of approach there is that it would be kind of 2 days, and that is how I'm planning on teaching it, is starting off with you very firmly in the loop, in control, and then by the end of the workshop, at least getting to the point where you're using one Claude session to orchestrate sub-agents to work on a task at a time. And if you have the budget, then certainly having a look at using agent teams. Although I might wait until that they take the experimental badge off of that, because I'm guessing once they've got it working for themselves internally and they're completely happy with it, right? I'm gonna go and get my AirPods.
So the microphone I'm using is it's this here. So it's a Blue Yeti, incredibly expensive USB condenser microphone for podcasting that I have on a boom arm over here. Because I don't really like headset microphones very much, because as you move your head around, they tend to pick up a lot of noise. But also, this is the same room where I record all my workshop videos and all of my songs and all of my everything. And there is a ridiculous amount of audio equipment connected to everything I do. And so at a certain point, it's like, well, I might as well just use the good mic because it's already plugged in. And yeah, it gets to the question of, well, is the point to be able to understand everything someone's saying, or are we talking about high fidelity Dolby Digital THX audio here? And I figure if you can understand what someone's saying, it's probably good enough. I did, for a little while, I was using the Couch to 5K app, the one that helps you start running. And the audio interference on some of the voice samples on that was so bad that I not only stopped using Couch to 5K, I gave up on running because it was such a horrible experience. So, welcome back. I know you're there because I can hear the traffic going past your window. They'll be back. So, hello. Randall's popped out to reconnect, and Claude's doing all the work. What do you want to talk about, chat? What's going on with you? How is it out there in the wonderful world of the internet?
Okay, so yes.
Hello.
Hello, I'm back.
Oh, that's much crispier. Yeah.
Is it much crispier? There we go. This is AirPods. This is just AirPods. They're fine.
That's just AirPods. That's the little white ear things.
Yeah, just.
So, I was in an Apple store yesterday, actually. Looking at.
Oh, did you get your 17E?
I didn't. So I'm going to get one. Basically,
Right.
This was me using a bit of downtime to go and have a look at one in the flesh and say, do I want one of those or not? And as soon as one of the tranche of outstanding invoices that I have gets paid, I will go and buy the thing. But yeah,
yes.
it's the Neo. I had a look at the MacBook Neo, which is just nice.
Oh, yes.
It's just like a really nice thing.
Yes.
And they're kind of friendly, and it'll run GarageBand and Logic and all that. And what it got me thinking, what I want, like, to me, the holy grail form factor of devices is I want a 15-inch laptop, like one you can sit and do proper work at a desk or everything. But really, the laptop is just a screen and a keyboard and a big battery and a bunch of breakout ports. And all of the storage, all of the processing, all of the everything is your phone that docks into the laptop. And there are two reasons why I want this. One, it would be lovely to have, whatever I was working on, know that it's on my phone if I need it. At the moment, I use Dropbox for stuff like that. So I know that anything I've worked on is either going to be in Dropbox or it's going to be in GitHub, and so I can probably get it. But the other thing is this sort of very... I have a threat model for devices because I spend so much of my time traveling with technology and, like throwing parties at conferences where they say, oh, we've booked a nightclub. And so you're like, all right, well, I'm in a nightclub in Siberia, in literally the middle of Russia, and my laptop is on the stage and it is unlocked because it is being used to play video and all that kind of stuff. And I need to go to the toilet. And of course, you don't leave your laptop unsupervised and unlocked in the middle of Russia, because that's a crazy thing to do. But you do, because you have to, because the alternatives are all incredibly convoluted. And so I'm really interested in the whole, if this piece of technology was to get lost in the airlines or stolen or damaged, what do I lose? Do I just lose the valuable metal and chips, or do I lose data, or does somebody else actually get the keys to part of my online identity, and then they can get into my email and my bank and all that kind of stuff? And yes, the idea of a laptop which is basically fungible, doesn't matter which one it is. You could use any laptop and you slot your iPhone into the side of it, and now it's yours, and it's got your profile and your stuff and your passwords and your everything. But then if you do need to leave it in the corner of a bar while you're having drinks with people, you just pop your phone out the side, and now it's just a shell, I like that. I want that. Somebody invent that and give me one for free, I think.
Yes. But no, I think the Neo is very interesting because the base model with like nothing, 8 gigs of RAM and no backlit keyboard, no Touch ID, none of those sorts of things, but it's 600 quid.
Yeah.
Which is putting it kind of firmly in Chromebook territory. But with like Mac OS and, like you say, GarageBand and iMovie or whatever.
Your audio has now turned into horrible, crackly AM radio.
Has it?
Yeah.
Marvelous.
There's a significant amount of static interference coming through. Just as Kana 173-713 says, sound is better now. I don't know if that's your end or my end, to be honest. That's why you always need a third person to break the deadlock in a stream, because they can be like, yes, it's good for 2 people, or it's good for 1 person, or it's got better now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about podcasts and audio and microphones and all the other stuff that should have been a solved problem years ago.
I've got, so over there, there is my Rode Podcaster, which essentially I just need to find the boom arm for it. But I have options because I've also got like a Focusrite and that's a Behringer, quite a nice PGA 58. No, it's a Shure PGA 58.
Yeah.
And somewhere around I've got a Behringer, the equivalent thing. So
yeah.
Yes.
The reason I use this mic for podcasting and stuff is I never use it for anything else. So I don't take it out of the house. I don't play gigs with it. I don't do anything with it. It is permanently fixed to my desk, and it never moves, and it doesn't get used for anything other. And so it's always there, and it's just the default. Hello, Surly Dev. Welcome to the stream.
Hey,
Claude's doing all the work. We're talking about microphones in varying degrees of fidelity. So
yes, I think for when I'm chatting to Ben later, I will try and get the Rode connected up. The other thing is the Rode Podcaster, the outputs, the sort of connection for it is a USB-B on the microphone itself.
Yeah.
And I have a MacBook.
Yeah.
And so all the USB-B cables that I know of. So I'm actually sitting at my computer. I'm going to check the thing. I'm now on Amazon. Is there such a thing?
About agentic AI is that you can fix all the other things that are wrong with your life while Claude does your job.
So there is a USB B to C braided cable. It says printer cable because that is generally what they're used for, the USB-B
is the chunky one. It's about 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter.
Yes, it's the sort of square one.
Yeah.
And then, see, that's 1 meter. I don't want 1 meter. I want... Oh, there we go. Ooh. Right, so what are we thinking? I'm thinking 2 meters will probably do it. Yeah, no. There we go. So that will make life easier because I've got my kind of multi-port adapter thingamy-bob doodah, what's it? But having a direct cable will be an awful lot easier.
So I just noticed what is sort of scrolling past on the screen here. QA found no criticals, but W1 plus W5 former crash path, sending back to the developer to fix. And I'm like,
yes.
Okay, I'm glad.
Yeah, you have no idea what those are.
No.
I did not think about it in time, but it's something where I would probably go into the developer agent file and add an instruction telling it to keep a devlog.
Okay.
And then at the end, you would be able to read the devlog and see what it had added to it as a kind of part of the process.
Okay, this is cool. So Dorothy just said, I missed a lot of episodes. Last time we were testing audio-visual sync. It was same thing, same project, still working on that. What we've got for this one is right now, Claude is implementing the pause and playback, or the playback and stop and rewind in the full WPF user interface. Kind of 713, after using code generation, what do you think the weakest link is in it? As of right now, today, I think the weakest link is that it is consistently good enough that it is going to lure people into a false sense of security. And that is where the two weak links. One of them is it looks fantastic, and after a while, it will be like asking pilots to fly aircraft which have an almost infallible autopilot. Sooner or later, they're going to forget how to fly because they don't. and then something's going to go wrong. The other one is we still don't know how much it's actually going to cost when it's not being paid for with trillions of dollars of venture capital money. And that could be a real deal breaker for a lot of the models people are getting excited about. We had Richard Campbell on the stream the other day, and Richard was saying, and Richard knows these kind of things, so you can probably kind of trust his word on this, that if you hit your $200 Claude Max, it costs them 5,000 to give you that many tokens.
Yeah.
And so their business model is very much people paying for $200 who don't actually use it, and they're using that plus all the investment they're burning through.
I think there is also the enterprise usage is actually metered. And so enterprises are sort of either buying a shed load of tokens up front at some kind of discounted cost, or literally just kind of going, here's a tap that money comes out of. Yeah. I'll use tokens and you turn the tap on to get the money. Direct debits or whatever. I wonder if there's that sort of thing, all the people who pay through the nose for Cloudflare, which is enabling Cloudflare to provide free DNS and SSL and whatever to hundreds of thousands of tiny little websites and blogs, and I've got a dozen things routed through Cloudflare, and I'm giving them grand total of $20 a month or something. So yeah, I do think.
Cool now.
Go for it.
I'm going to add a second camera so that I can one. Because the whole problem with building a multi-headed video playback system is actually, let me remove that from the stream until I've got it lined up. But I can put this up behind my shoulder so that you folks can actually see what's playing on which physical displays as we do the next part of this.
Petition to build the camera into a stuffed parrot.
Why a parrot?
Because if the developer's talking to you like you're a pirate captain, then you could have a parrot on your shoulder.
All right.
Just commit to the bit, man.
We're going to do some excellent hackery here. So I've got one of my beloved small rig. These things are so good. I buy these on Amazon.
Oh, yes.
Small rig camera clamps. So we're going to stick that on there. And now I'm going to just make sure there's no gunk on the lens of that one. And now I think if I attach this to a convenient microphone stand that happens to be here because I was recording vocals yesterday. And
I will say to the people watching, I can actually see what this camera is doing, and just in a tiny little window in the browser, and you're very lucky you can't see it. Just watching it is making me feel
the motion sickness.
It's the motion sickness was real.
Right, now if we add that to stage, can I embiggen that? Yes, there we go. So what have we got? So that's the teleprompter. That's the
StreamYard.
That's an external monitor. That's an external monitor. That's an external monitor. That's the one that I've been sharing on the stream. So now, if I come in here, hello, and I do a .NET run.
Marcello's going enlarge.
Video jam. Hang on, CD video jam. .NET run. I'm going to play with the layout here. So if I shrink that, StreamYard, why do you vex me so? There. I've confused myself terribly.
I mean, serves you right, because you've confused the Jesus out of me. I was like, what's going on? What's he doing?
Okay. We want to, if I remove that one, there we go. And now so StreamYard, the software that we use to do this, it has all of these incredibly clever layouts and things. but it doesn't. It doesn't have one that'll let me use this camera as like we want you as a full screen kind of a thing. So maybe I can. No, I can't. Oh, it's too complicated for me to do. There we go. All right. So you can see the thing. If I embiggen that, there we go. But now I do a .NET run there. That's gonna open. So you can see that's the WPF application. And if I open the show that we built the other day, and oh, now that's fun.
Yeah.
So what it's done is, as soon as I clicked on that track, it went, okay, let's display the fallback video on the audience monitors. That's the audience monitor. That's the thing. So this is, you're all standing there in the venue, and this is now on the big screen behind the band. So you're like, oh, a show is coming. Problem is that it's always on top, and the WPF window is now behind it. So I can't get that. Hang on. I'm going to need to kill it from the terminal. So that's over there. Kill that. Okay, there we go. And now I can run it again. So yeah, I need to make sure that the actual interface here is not on the screen that the audience will be seeing. So as soon as I click on one of these, okay, so that's cool. So what we've got is, I need to share about 15 different screens at the same time.
Yeah, you do.
To make this work properly. Let me see if I can. No, you can't share two screens at the same time.
Right. So you know what we should. You know what we need to do is before the next stream.
Yep.
Use OBS.
Yeah.
To create a layout and the virtual webcam thing, and then pipe the OBS webcam into StreamYard, and then you'll be able to show whatever it is you want just by tweaking the OBS thing. So we'll do that for the next stream.
Yes.
But this looks sort of worky.
Now there's a very interesting sort of missing detail here. Is I don't know how to make it go because it doesn't.
Well, it was hotkeys. It was like space and escape or something. There you go. Space starts it, and then I believe escape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Space makes it go. Escape makes it stop. Now, it's only playing to one monitor at the moment, which is not quite right. So let me switch this display, this layout back. Hang on. I'm now juggling too many moving parts for this to make any sense whatsoever.
Yes. If you want to focus for a minute on sort of trying to work out that, and I can pick up some of these
go for it.
Comments and stuff, because we were talking about locally run LLMs. As a way you asked. Apparently, the Jeffrable says Rick Beato has a recent piece where he compares locally run LLMs to GarageBand. Because yes, GarageBand. If he says it put a lot of recording studios out of business, I absolutely believe that. I can certainly believe that it kind of cut into the digital audio workstations generally, and GarageBand in particular, because you get it free with your Mac. And that's probably put a serious dent in the profits of some companies that make mixing desks and all those kinds of things. Locally run LLMs, at the moment, the key sort of limit on that is memory. I don't know. It's very, very difficult to get numbers on things like Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT. But the general assumption is that like GPT 5.4 and Opus 4.6 and Gemini 3, are they on 3? Anyway, whatever it is, you're probably looking at trillion parameter and up models for those. That's a lot. And when you're running things locally, there are two ways to run things fast enough where you can sort of generate tokens per second that is at least in the double digits. One is to use a GPU, like mostly an NVIDIA GPU, because a lot of these things are written for CUDA, although AMD's ROCm does actually work as well. But those GPUs tend not to have a lot of RAM. They have kind of enough RAM on them to load the textures for maybe a 4K game. And that's all being streamed off disk anyway. So it really, they weren't designed for this. And so then you get into unified memory and you look at sort of AMD's latest chips in something like a framework desktop, where they're using soldered RAM purely because it's faster and has sort of like much greater bandwidth and is shared between the GPU and CPU cores and the neural cores and all this sort of stuff. But then you have Apple, and everyone keeps saying, oh, Apple are being left behind in the AI race because Apple aren't training their own models. But what Apple are doing is they're shipping a single piece of silicon which has the RAM on it. So like the bandwidth on that is insane. And it is shared between the CPU cores and the GPU cores and the neural cores. So the CPU can load stuff off the disk into memory, and then the GPU cores can just use it. And with the latest generation, I think actually with the M4 Max and the M5 Max, you could have 128 gigs of RAM in a laptop. The M3 Max, it's a Doug. The M3 Max had a 256 gigabyte variant that was only available in the Mac Studio. And there's an M3 Ultra, which is two M3 Maxes stuck together, which had 80 GPU cores and 512 gigabytes of RAM. And they haven't actually announced the M5 Ultra yet. There will be one. It's a matter of what it's got. Conservatively, maybe 768 gigabytes. But if I were Apple, and if it were technically possible, I would be sticking it out there with a terabyte of shared memory. And then that's going to run really, really, really big models. And that would run kind of like the Qwen 3.5 that you get to use if you use it through their API. And you can download that and you can run it locally. It's like 900 and something gigabytes that you need to run that. I think I worked out 970 or something. So if you've got a terabyte of RAM, that's still leaving you like 50 gigs. 50. Good God. It's leaving you a lot of memory for the sort of running the actual compiler and all those sorts of things. And this is where Anthropic and OpenAI, where the business model is going to be interesting. And the thing is, even if the M5 Ultra comes out, even if it's only half a terabyte, even if they don't sort of increase the RAM, you're still looking at 2027, late 27, early 28. You'll be getting the M7, which is going to have like 120 GPU cores, and that will have a terabyte of RAM.
Do you know what's kind of remarkable about all this? Is I remember thinking not all that long ago, computers are good enough. Like I just remember when kind of the latest generation of NVIDIA RTX came out, and I'm like, well, we can now simulate, we can do real-time ray tracing. So you can, anything that you can model, you can render in real time in photorealistic quality with things like, you know, caustic, so sunlight can dapple through the surface of water.
Yeah.
And well, that's it. We don't need any more. Like, if you can literally do 4K real-time simulation of anything that we can solve the physics for, then, yeah, obviously, you know, things like, you know, nuclear reaction simulation and protein folding and that kind of stuff for research. But I was like, this is like, no domestic human being needs a better computer than this. And then AI comes along and goes, lol. Yeah. So, right. I'm going to take a short break and go and refill my water glass. And then we're going to deal with the fact that despite having flawlessly done everything we asked it to do, what we've got is actually unusably bad. And we're going to figure out what to do about that. So I will be back in a second.
But I'll carry on chatting. So keep asking me stuff. So Jerky has said, looking at Unsloth, Quen 3.5 requires 810 gigabytes plus cache. So yes, cache being like your working memory, your context window, your key values, store, that sort of thing. So yeah, but that's like the top end Quen 3.5. That is, and it's nuts. The coding performance, if you look at the coding benchmarks for Quen 3.5, which came out last week, maybe the week before, it is performing certainly on par with Claude Sonnet, better than Claude Sonnet in a lot of cases. And so, yeah, we've got these general purpose models, and that's Quen 3. That's just Quen 3.5. That's not Quen, because if you look at the Quen 3 series of models, there's like Quen 3. There's also Quen 3 coding. So there are models that are fine-tuned for specific tasks. As we're getting to the point where training these things, because that's the other thing with Apple releasing sort of better and better M chips and better Mac Studios and all this sort of thing. Oh, there's a whole load of terrible logs coming out there. Ew. Then people, the act of certainly fine-tuning models, so getting a model that the bulk of the training has been done, but then you get to fine-tune it for your specific requirements. And so you could get models that have been trained specifically as Python developers. They don't need to know C++ and .NET and Java and all those sorts of things. They just need to know Python and the fundamentals of programming. And so, yeah, in a lot of ways, where we're at with these things is we're still throwing as much silicon and as much RAM and as much energy and whatever as we can at them. Starting to fine-tune these things, starting to produce sort of much more focused models that do specific things, using a different model for the developer agent than you are for the QA agent, because why does it need all the same tokens to do two different things? Yeah, we kind of, you have this, if you look at DeepSeek, and I believe the latest Quen, they use this thing called mixture of experts. So the total number of tokens in DeepSeek is like 1 billion, but it's actually only using 30 million of them at a time. It's kind of, it's a system of different experts on different things. And so it reduces the amount of working memory it's using by only loading the ones that it needs. But yes, and as Micro 500 says, 32 megabytes should be enough for everyone. I am old enough to remember when that was 640K. Bill Gates said 640K should be enough for anyone.
No, he didn't.
Like, well, it's attributed to him, but you know.
I got a whole video about memory, and it's K is for kib or kibibytes or whatever it is on my history of software, and it dives into that quote. And Bill Gates himself, like, no one has ever told anybody where he said this or when it happened or who quoted it. And he said, look, this was in an interview he did in the 90s. He said, I've done a lot of stupid things and said a lot of wrong things, but anybody who knows anything about computers knows that you'd never say this much memory will be enough for anybody for all time. So anyway, I just want to talk about the duck for a second. Because the whole point about the duck is, so this was a little piece of swag that I got from Lego at the NDC Copenhagen last year, and the first toy that the Lego company ever made was a duck. It was a little wooden duck that you could pull along the floor on a string in about 1936. Ole Kirk Christiansen, the guy who founded the company. And so Lego now, they have this lovely little, and it's only got 5 pieces, so it's not even really a set. But yes, it's a little piece of swag that they give away at trade shows, is a little Lego model of the original duck, which I think is lovely. So, right. So back to Claude. So we now have hit this interesting point where, as you probably noticed, the software does everything we've asked it to do, but it is unusable because of a bunch of things that a human developer would have jumped in and gone, no, hang on a second, that's not going to do it. But because we haven't been interacting with the thing as we go along, we haven't been firing it up, we haven't been running it at every single iteration, because so much of this has been hands-off. What's happened is we've ended up at a point where, yes, it will load multiple video files, and yes, it will play them. And the Jeffable says Nintendo's first product was playing cards. Yes, my favorite, bizarre old company thing. There's a company called Zildjian who make cymbals for drum kits, and Zildjian is older than the First Crusade. Zildjian was manufacturing percussion things for use in marching armies around the time that Richard the Lionheart was running around, which blows my mind. So, yeah. And yes, Nintendo is older than the Ottoman Empire. So yeah, so now we've got this point, and I'm waiting for Ems to get back so that we can sort of talk through what the recommended approach is. This is the point where, in a conventional project, the developer would send this to the client and go, look, it does everything you asked for, and the client would come back with a very long, probably an Excel spreadsheet, if they're anything like the clients I've worked for, in which they painstakingly list everything which is wrong with it, one after another, in excruciating detail. So what I'm going to do just before we move on to the next bit of it is I'm going to open Typora here, and I'm going to start writing a... no, I want Typora in the parent folder there, because I want to start making some feedback. And I'm going to drop a new file in here, and I'm going to call this phase 6 user testing.md, because I'm guessing that at some point, so Sunrain says, I think that you should design the user interface and then ask Claude to use what has been already developed to make it work. That is hard, given the requirement that things play physically onto multiple monitors. There is definitely a, I would, well, if this was me, I'd build it in WPF, and I would be using the IDE, I'd be using Visual Studio to figure out what goes where and, line up the bits. But, some of this is features that it turns out we do actually need after all, even though we didn't ask for them. And some of it is just bugs that have been introduced in the latest iteration that weren't broken before. So here's the things that are wrong with phase 6. So 1, the performer video never plays. All we see is the audience video. 2 is that the always on top video obscures the application's main dialog window, main window. So we can't stop, control, interact with it at all if a video frame or fallback screen is displayed. There's no toolbar. We didn't ask for one, but it turns out having a play, pause, stop, rewind toolbar in the UI is actually a big deal. I am thinking that what AMS is currently doing is unplugging and replugging bits of microphones and stuff, because they have just turned into a devices not connected window. Oh, we got video. Does we has audio? Hello.
There we go.
Hello.
My magic Insta360 camera.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did what?
Yeah. I went off to do something, and then I came back, and it had decided to sort of spend some time looking for me and then given up. And then once it's done that, I'm never quite sure how to get it to kind of go, hello, I'm over here. So it was pointing at the screen because I think it found you. I went, oh, there's a person. It's just, I'll point at them. So while I was away, though, I just have Claude on my laptop screen down here. Not code, just Claude generally. I asked it how much memory the IBM 704 had. So two of the most important sort of developments in computing were done on the IBM 704. One was the creation of Fortran, and the other was the creation of Lisp, which, you know, nobody uses Lisp anymore. Hello, Paul. But at the time, a big deal. And so the IBM 704 had a magnetic core memory. These things were knitted. This was like a bunch of pins with two very thin wires passed through each pin that could hold a thing. These things cost like $1 a bit to start off with. But it had a magnetic core memory of 4,096 words.
There you go. That is a piece of woven core
memory.
There you
go. That's magnetic core memory, knitted by nanas. For British people who will get the Shreddies advert reference. So
you can
yes,
literally see the little ferrite cores with the wire knitted.
Each one of those is a bit. Not a byte, a bit. But this was before. Go.
Interrupt you, because if we kick off Claude fixing all the things that are wrong, then we can talk about core memory while it's doing it.
Okay, do that.
At the moment, Claude isn't doing anything. We've got dead air, dead token time. So what's the best? So what I did there was I opened up a new Markdown file and I started listing the things that are wrong with it. And is there a best way of, like, because some of this is stuff we forgot to ask for or what we didn't think we needed to ask for. This to me is extremely reminiscent of outsourcing software development to I'm going to frame this very, very carefully.
Yes, please do.
Outsourcing development to a team of capable developers who are lacking the domain and cultural context that would inform a set of assumptions which the client would assume to be implicit.
Yes.
Like, if I was building one of these things, of course I'd put a toolbar in it, because you're building a thing that plays media. It needs a toolbar. But we never asked for a toolbar, and so we didn't get one. And things like video playing on top so you can't see your own window anymore. If I had been building this by hand, the first thing I would have noticed is, oh, crap, I can't quit the application because it hides its own window. Let's fix that right away. And so, you know, I have occasionally done outsource or worked with outsourced development where stuff's come back and you're like, oh, I can't imagine we actually had to ask for that, but I guess we didn't ask for it, and so we didn't get it, and so now we need to ask for it, and it's going to be a change request, and
yes.
So, right. So I have a little list of things here. Do we just stick it in a markdown file and then say, "Hey, fix all this"? And if we do, who fixes it?
Honestly, you could copy and paste it into Claude.
Yeah. Okay. So which Claude?
I would go into Claude Dev for this. Oh no, hang on.
Because we're doing a Claude thing. Yeah.
So I would maybe use the architect system prompt.
Why?
Because we're kind of asking for some fairly. No, actually, I think dev. Just do dev.
Yeah, I
dev
think
will be fine.
To me, the architecture is solid.
Yes.
These are UI problems. These are the things that's hard to describe in Markdown because you want to draw a bloody picture,
Yeah.
And point at stuff and go, that shouldn't be there. That shouldn't be there. This is dumb. Can't click that. Let me paste that. Boom. Done.
Okay, so it's using OpenSpec's Explore feature, which is what I would expect it to use for this.
There is an interesting, just sort of a much wider application of these tools to software development. There is the "you're holding it wrong" school of thought, and there is the tool going, "you can hold it any way you want. There's no way to hold this wrong." And people going, "Oh yeah, but if you hold it wrong, it'll still not work." So,
yes.
Dead token time. So many years ago, one of the first things that like 1997, 96, 97, I was into ray tracing in a big way. I was doing 3D programming, graphics, and rendering photorealistic scenes on an AMD K6, and it got to a point where I would not leave my room at university until I had started a render, because they all took 6 or 7 hours. And so you'd start a render and you'd go for a drink. And when you got back, you'd start another render and go to bed. And you'd get up in the morning and you'd start a render and you'd go to lectures and you'd come back at lunchtime and see if it was working and fix something and go back for the afternoon. And, literally making sure that something was always running, because it took so long to get results out the other side of it. And I'm paying however much money, and it's not you can use these many tokens until they're gone and then we'll charge you more. It's we're going to charge you whether you use them or not, so you might as well use them all. It's the all-you-can-eat buffet. Are you going to get your money's worth? How many chicken wings does it take for them to go, we shouldn't do unlimited chicken wings anymore?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You could probably get away with doing unlimited donut burgers. I'm not sure I could have eaten. So I was down in London on Wednesday night for a concert at Wembley for the Transmission fundraiser. And then I met Dylan yesterday lunchtime, and we went to Thunderbolt Chicken just by Charing Cross Station. On the road down to Embankment, and I got to the ordering screen, and it's a donut chicken burger, and it was no lies told. It was 2 chicken tenders, a slice of cheese, some pickles, and then a glazed ring donut on the top and another glazed ring donut on the bottom and some hot honey sauce. And it went onto my bucket list and got ticked off all in one go.
I enjoy low rent fast food, but it looked disgusting and I don't want to eat one ever.
Oh, it was delicious. but whether I would have it again, I don't know. Dead Token Time also sounds like a good band name, says Jerky.
We could use that. Question from Kana713, which I think is probably a better question for you than for me. During billable work, do you use Claude in a similar modality that you demo during your streams, or is your workflow different?
It's in terms of billable work. So there's work that I'm doing for my own projects, where I have multiple tabs open, and again, this is very token restricted right at the moment. Once I get back up to my $200 a month max subscription, I will switch back to this. I have multiple tabs open, and each tab is kind of working on a different area. So I might have a tab open with agents working on the Python code for a back end, which is exposed over gRPC, and another tab open with agents working on the front end, the Unity application that's animating the bird or whatever else is going on. There's a lot of discussion of this at the moment. David Whitney just wrote a great blog post about different ways that you can be doing this, and there's the sort of, potentially while these two agents were kind of implementing this change, we could be working with yet another agent, sort of planning out phase 7, or doing specifications and designs and all this sort of thing. When I was on my previous job, which was where I basically learned how to use Claude, this was before a lot of the stuff that we're using now, like the sub-agents and so forth, had happened. And I would just have multiple tabs open and things. I think my favorite one was while we were at NDC Copenhagen last year, and I had 2 tabs open using my Claude Max subscription to just throw code at an iPhone application and an Android application at the same time. And also another tab open running Gemini 2.5 Pro, which was building a web application that did a thing. But it absolutely is exhausting. And this is the thing, this is the problem. Having 3 separate sessions doing 3 separate things, and all of them, Ghost TTY or whatever, keep chucking up toast notifications like Mac OS notifications going, oh, Claude's waiting for your input, Gemini's waiting for your input. And you're just like, oh my God, which one of you was first? So this is where I think a combination of trying to keep it more focused, but certainly letting a pair of agents go off and iterate on a feature while you specify the next feature or kind of refine something else. So there's less context switching. But yeah, I think my ideal scenario with all of this, honestly, is that we get to a point where they go, we'll just have a 3-day week. Because we can work faster. And so you could say, well, do twice as much, or you could say, just work 4 hours a day, or just work 2.5 days a week and achieve the same amount. But yeah, maybe check out Solo Term. So if that is a terminal that is very specifically...
While that's grinding away, I'm going to try something completely different out of curiosity. I'm going to go into Claude Codework, and I'm going to say, give me a chord chart and lyrics for this song, which is my song that I wrote and I own, so there's no copyright problems with it, and that's an MP3, and I want to see if it can do this. Dorothy says, would they want to pay us? Yes, less. Yes, they will. This is why it's important to get rid of the billionaires.
Yes. Eat the rich. Sorry, that's the trans pipeline. Become girl, destroy capitalism. Solo Term looks awesome. Yes, we'll have to. It can wait for another stream, but I'm definitely going to have a play with that. Thank you very much, Jerky, for suggesting that. Now that Claude is churning a lot more, are you out of tokens yet?
Don't think so.
No,
oh, hang on. Yeah, we got a thing. Yeah.
Just do a quick /usage, I would say, before.
Yeah.
It's 68%.
Yeah.
But interestingly, your weekly usage, I don't know what you've been doing off stream, if you've been using it very much, but you've used 40% of your tokens for the week.
Yeah.
And that resets in 12 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway, so I think we can afford to carry on for a bit.
Ahoy, Captain. I got a full map. Perform video. The culture of the blah, 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 blah. Okay, I believe that sounds like a plausible explanation.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain why it worked before and now it doesn't, but that's all right. So always on top window, 2 component problem. The window shows during queued state, not just during playback. It is topmost, so even calling main window activate does nothing. The display window wins every Z order fight. Yes. The main window hide, call in, go, but the fixed VLC display should not be shown until go is pressed during queue. See, this is my spidey sense can see the slow motion of this thing about to kick itself in the back of its other leg, because this should not be shown until go is pressed. Kind of directly contradicts the earlier requirement that we want something good on the big audience screen even when the music is not playing.
Yeah.
And the toolbar is fine. All right, and I'm gonna hit it with this and see what it gets. But there's that's
escape link to. You can press that's it.
Yes.
Should it be shown immediately but lose the topmost flag? But the thing is, you want the audience one wants to be displayed regardless.
So I mean, we can control the Z index of the windows manually. Yeah.
That's.
And but 3.
I like the idea of a small floating, always on top control window that rides above everything. No,
actually, having got this far, I think there's going to be a fairly change to the idea. Do not hide the main window. We'll
add a little monitor for
control tab to it. Make sure control tab works. Because I think what I'm probably going to end up doing is saying for the performer video, you can either display it on a second outboard monitor, or it'll replace the mixing console element of the main XAML window when you're playing something. So you queue up all your tracks, and then when you play, you still have your playlist down the left-hand side. Yeah,
and you still have your toolbar at the top.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it is just you're basically going, here's an H win, fill it with DLC, aren't you? So, yes, we're not out. I think the reason we're not out of tokens is because we're using Sonnet, which is actually very efficient. Yeah. Eating the rich is how you get prion diseases. Well, it depends which parts of the rich you eat, but yes, quite a lot of the rich are vegan. And I believe eating vegans would actually be reasonably good for you. It's when we eat omnivores that you get problems.
I'm going to go way off topic for a moment here, because when I had
off cannibalism.
No, I'm going to talk about prion diseases. And fun and games with the blood transfusion service.
What, do you want to quickly run OPSX FF before you do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Fast forward. Yeah, do the things. When I broke my leg years ago, I had blood transfusions following surgery, and there's a rule in the UK that you can't give blood if you've had a blood transfusion because of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is a prion disease that in theory you could get from infected blood, but there's no way of screening for it, so they don't know. So and it went through a couple of years of me getting like emails and things, and from the blood transfusion people going, hey, you should donate blood, and me going, I can't. You told me I can't. Please take me off your list. And then they phoned me, and I said to them, I want to tell you what's going on here. You see, I'd love to give blood, but I can't. And the reason I can't is because a blood transfusion might have infected me with an incurable disease which condemns me to an excruciating death at some point in my life. And you think this is likely enough that you don't want me to give blood anymore, but your database can't get the fucking hint. And so you ping me every 6 months, reminding me about this horrible thing which you think might kill me. And they went, we're really, really sorry. And I think they deleted me. I think they just purged every trace of my existence from that database rather than risk whatever fallout I might have brought to bear upon them. But it's kind of freaky. Like, because, you don't think about it. Like, I had a blood transfusion, leg got mostly better. I'm okay. I'm fine. But every 6 months, I'm like, oh, yeah, shit, I might get the mad cow and die. Oh, that would be bad. And you're like, well, I'm not going to get the mad cow and die. You're like, well, if I wasn't, I could donate blood. And they say no.
People who lived in, so Surly says people who lived in the UK during the mad cow disease, the Creutzfeldt thing, can't give blood in Germany, at all.
Yeah.
So if I were to move to Germany, I would not be allowed to give blood simply because I existed in the UK in the 90s or the 80s, whenever the hell it was. When John Selwyn Gummer was going, look, burgers are safe. Here's my 5-year-old eating one.
When my family moved to the UK from Africa, there was a thing saying that you could not give blood if you had been sexually active in the African continent at any point in the last 20 years. My monogamous married parents couldn't give blood because they were married to each other in Zimbabwe. So yes, I'm going to Kana 713 still handwrite code and only have agents for research, edge case discovery, debugging, and implement of side quests. Occasionally, I'll use smart autocomplete, more focus, less fatigue. I found. So I can identify the point at which I started letting agents write code for me, because it was when I needed code written. That I didn't know I needed Objective-C code that could be compiled into a Unity application to run on iPhone and Mac. I needed Kotlin code that could be compiled in, or Java. No, rather, I needed Java code that could be compiled into a Unity application to run on Android devices. And I know Kotlin, but Java I'm a bit ropier on. Given Google and a text editor, I can write Python, but it's once you've sort of broken the glass on the in emergency when you need to write code in a language you don't know. I think I've just figured something out. So we occasionally get this layout corruption.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it is caused by it putting emoji in the output stream, which are double width characters that are possibly just not rendering right with the nerd font that I use for PowerShell. Frank says, your thoughts on Aspire? Aspire is brilliant. Aspire has done more than anything else to get developers right across the field to think about their applications in terms of telemetry and visibility and observability instead of in terms of log files and people emailing them screenshots. It's a very, very cool application. Also, we know a lot of the people who built it and they're awesome. So, yeah, we like Aspire.
Yes.
Right. So I'm going to, I don't have a hard stop at 4, but I do have a bunch of stuff I should probably do in the next hour or so. So let's say 4, 10 past 4, quarter past 4. I'm gonna wrap this up for today.
That works for me as well.
Because you've got to do a live stream, haven't you?
I have, yes. I'm literally sending Ben links as we sort of speak.
Solo term.
Oh, yes. Oh, just jumping back to the memory discussion. So the IBM 704 magnetic core memory, 4,096 words. And this was before bytes. We didn't have bytes, you had bits. And so a word on the IBM 704 was 36 bits, which was type A and type B instructions. And so the base configuration of this massive, huge, like room-sized computer that could do wonderful things by the standards of the time had 18K of memory. And if you had sufficient money, it was expandable to 32,768 words, which is, 8 times as much. So that's 116K of memory. I mean, yeah.
Solo term, Windows coming soon. Well, that doesn't help.
So here's the thing
over there, but it's full and it doesn't have space to do anything.
Here's the thing, right? The people who are building this stuff, people who are building Claude and Solo and whatever else, they have venture capitalists queuing up to throw money at them. So if you had somebody throwing money at you and saying, buy a computer, what would you buy?
Well, yeah.
You would go onto the Apple store, choose the sort of latest model of Mac and just max it out with 8 terabytes of storage, as much memory as you could get on the thing. Nobody's gonna go, oh yes, no, I can buy a lovely Windows laptop with this money that you've given me.
Yeah.
And yeah, which is why everything is built for Mac. Possibly, the secondary thing is Linux, because if you've already made it work on a POSIX operating system, then whatever. But yeah, I think, with the MacBook Neo, I think I can see Microsoft being in trouble, to be honest.
Well, Microsoft bet the farm on Azure and GitHub and Copilot. And,
and bits of that are going fine. I mean, Azure's not going anywhere. Xbox, it continues to be a thing. But they have not done the... Do you remember when Windows 10 was the last ever version of Windows?
Yeah, I remember.
And then they went, oh, look, Windows 11. And I think for the first 2 or 3 years, there was a combination of people going, what have you done? Where's my context menu? Why isn't 7-zip in my context menu anymore? Why are there adverts for all the place? Why does it come with Candy Bloody Crush Bloody Saga pre-installed? What do you mean I can't install it on my 2-year-old laptop because it doesn't have a TPM 2.0 module? Why have you centered the start menu I mean, it was the first kind of Windows update service pack or whatever that meant you could move the start menu, the taskbar back over to be left aligned. And now they're saying we're going to get Windows 12 at some point.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't dislike Microsoft. I have a lot of friends who work for Microsoft. I still like Office, Word and Excel and all those sorts of things. But somebody needs to go into
the problem
talk to the Windows people and go, what are you doing?
Microsoft had I've used Microsoft stuff my entire career, my entire life. And there was a decade maybe where giving me the best possible experience as a user and a developer was also the most profitable thing they could do. Because, sell Visual Studio, sell Windows, get people to buy stuff, run, your company's email on Windows and Exchange and SQL Server and all these kinds of tools. And then Cloud came along and sort of moved the needle because they're like, well, as long as people are throwing money at Azure, it kind of doesn't matter if the rest of it isn't quite so good because, the total revenue, like if they built a really good version of Windows and sold it for money, that wouldn't make them any more money than they're making already because everyone is now subscribing and they've got volume licensing and all that kind of stuff. And the reality is that these days, if you want an operating system on your computer, you can get the one from the company who are trying to sell you Azure and Office 365 and don't really care about your laptop. You can get the one from the people who made their money on the laptop and the operating system just kind of needs to be good enough that you don't return it. Or you can get the one from the people who aren't selling anything and care more about freedom than they do about your productivity and user experience.
Yes.
That's kind of weird. It's like, it doesn't matter how much money you've got, you can't get a good operating system. And
yeah, I mean, I think, what's is it CachyOS? So if you're happy using either Wine or a sort of lightweight virtual machine with Windows installed inside it, just for running those couple of applications that are Windows only, and you don't need Creative Cloud, which is the other big one here. Then install CachyOS, which lets you set your desktop to look like Windows XP, Windows 2000, Windows 98. Yes, it's like properly themable. But yes, Llewellyn is saying, do I really have to switch to Mac OS in a year or two? Every time I look at it, I just get confused on where to go to do anything. Basically, the where to go to do anything on Mac OS is the terminal.
Yeah. I use Mac OS. There are a tiny handful of apps that. So the only thing on Mac that I can't run on Windows is Logic, the music composition, the audio workstation. And the only thing on Windows that I can't run on Mac is, actually there's two. There's Visual Studio and there's Microsoft Visio, both of which I don't say Visual Studio for Mac. We know, we don't talk about it. It's not the same.
Photoshop, for example,
is identical. Like Photoshop on Windows and Photoshop on Mac, or After Effects or Premiere or Word or... I do know where the differences are in PowerPoint because I use it that hard, but you will never find them. Trust me. Normal people do not find those differences. But there is just something about using an Apple Mac OS as my sort of main operating system that it feels like trying to do my job with tools I bought in a toy store. And I think that's just because it has always been a second-class citizen for .NET development, which has been my main dev stack for so long. And people who switched from VS Code from Visual Studio to JetBrains Rider are like, oh no, it's fine. But I'm like, well, I use Visual Studio. I like it. It's what I know, and letting go of fluency, and we're talking 20 years of muscle memory and stuff that I can do with with my eyes closed. And when that stuff stops working, it just makes your working day a less pleasant experience. And you hit a point where you're like, how many years am I going to be doing this for? Another couple of decades. How much of that do I want to burn on getting good at something different? And you're like,
Okay. Can we just, I want to jump back to this quickly. So remember way back at the start of this stream, we were talking about the description part of the front matter that we were putting into those 2 agent files. So this time you said OPS/OPSX:apply, and it automatically used those. So having used it once, it remembered, and it's you see there after that it's got developer, implement, phase 6 bug fixes, QA engineer, and then you didn't need to tell it to use those agents. It's just it knows they're there, and it goes, yep, okay, we can do that. So there we go. And whichever days you're free to do a stream next week, I think we're going to have even more fun, because it is just going to be setting your Anthropic API key on it to a GitHub Actions variable, and the setup for GitHub is built into Claude Code. It's a / command inside Claude Code, and then there's a GitHub action. And you can say that Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday are open for me next week, I think.
It's all good for me at the moment.
One or two of those.
Yeah.
All right, it reckons it's done. Let's have a look.
Yes. And the other thing I've been thinking of doing, by the way, so I will be back on at 5 p.m. So in 51 minutes, talking with Ben about how to control this through Claude, and he's going to show me some of his workflow things. But a lot of these questions that are coming up about sort of the ethics of it and all this sort of stuff, it's something that I would really like to potentially discuss in a kind of AMA format, and just chat with you guys. If people would be interested in that, then drop a comment or ping me on Blue Sky or LinkedIn and just let me know if I just jump on a stream just to chat. Is that something you would pitch up and watch, at least while I wait for my next job to start, whenever that is going to be? But yes, and whether it's talking about local AI models or how I use Claude, or questions worthy of a sign tap. Yes, I will not talk politics. I'll talk ethics, I'll talk morality, I'll talk all these sorts of things. I will discuss recipes for the rich that reduce the risk of prion disease. But I won't discuss actual, CNN-style politics. Dorothy, I love you. You are an absolute sweetie. Quite interesting personally. So yes. And Llewellyn, did you have that interview this week? I did. I had my second interview, which was system design, on Tuesday morning. And it went splendidly. Thank you very much for asking. And then they set up, because I happened to be in London, I was kind of like, I will be in London on Thursday. Why don't I pop into your offices in London for the final interview on Thursday morning? They sent me an email on Wednesday, very late Wednesday afternoon, when I was already kind of dashing around getting ready to go to Wembley, which I then did not see. So then I saying that the people, one of them had an emergency dentist thing and the other one was not feeling well enough to go into the office. So would it be all right if we did it on Zoom next week? And I turned up to their offices going, hello, I've come from my interview, and they were kind of like, well, no, it's just... So the final interview will now be next week, but I'm feeling very good about it. The great thing was I walked through a park between King's Cross and their offices, and it had it looked a bit like a sculpture, but it was climbable in a sort of, if you had climbing shoes, it had toe holds and kind of crimps and slopers and all the climbing things. And I climbed it on the way back to King's Cross. I'm just very, very quickly, because I don't know what this means, but no. Marcello, between contracts, myself, no idea what next. So I wish you all the best with that. But yes, it's rough out there at the moment. AI is churning everything up. So yes, are you having fun with your sliders?
So they don't work. They don't do anything. The mute buttons don't do anything. It has basically, yeah,
it's everything that was working is now not working.
Well, none of this stuff was working because we've never been able to test it before.
Well, that's true.
We didn't have a play button or anything in there, so it can load and save. So the really complicated bit of playing multiple audio streams in sync kind of works, but it has got to the point where the reason why I became a software developer is because I don't want to have to negotiate with other people to make the computer do the thing I want. I just want to fix it as close to the underlying components and things as possible. And the sort of having been very, very impressed over the first few streams at what this was capable of doing, honestly, I got to say now it's producing bad software that doesn't work. And I don't know I don't know how that should align with my expectations. Like, I don't know whether we just kind of keep plugging away at it, or, I mean, let's take a look and see. I'm gonna close that. That's shut down. There is obviously some stuff in there. So one, you see I closed that, but it's still running. It hasn't actually stopped. I need to explicitly kill it from the Windows Task Manager to get it to work. There's a bunch of interesting stuff. That might be... I'm going to try one more thing very quickly. What was it? Dropbox, Claude stuff. I just want to see if I take out that zzz not a video.mp4 and then do a .net. Maybe that will fix one of the problems it's got.
When you're going for a job, do you present yourself as an AI programming expert, or do you try to mask that? Honestly, now I'm quite happily telling people, and it's on my CV, that I use Claude.
Yeah.
That I have those skills. That it says spec-driven development on my CV now.
Yeah.
I think more places now are kind of, if they're not actively looking for somebody, there are places now where they're kind of going, please do this using an AI in the interview process. What I would definitely not do, and I'm not just saying this because I'm live on the internet and stuff, I would not use AI without telling people that I was using AI.
So the Jeffable says, who wants to be the one to ask if the volume is up? I'm not sharing audio, because if I do, Randall's voice feeds back through the system audio through, then it all gets complicated. But yeah, it's not, I can hear everything. Even if I mute tracks, I still hear them. Everything is playing.
Right.
So I think this, we can summarize this as the honeymoon is over.
Yes.
All of this amazing, this is so cool, look at right specs and everything, has got us, now it has got us here relatively quickly in terms of the sort of amount of work. But I am now genuinely looking at this and going, is the shortest path from here to working software to keep negotiating with the agents to try and fix the countless things that are wrong with it? Or do I put all this over there and pull out the bits that I need? Because we now have, proof of concept working implementations for all the bits I don't know how to do. And, it clearly this is where the human in the loop would have been doing a lot more than just writing code, because they would have been playing bits of media and, checking it works and tweaking layouts and putting in toolbars and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, our attention has also been split between sort of building the thing and running a stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
And chatting to people and stuff. I would, my instinct at this point would be to kind of go through these things one at a time with the agent and get it to fix the bugs. Because what's that? Do not implement mute logic in this phase. That is.
So do not implement
phase
mute logic.
5.
That. So I'm just looking
in
through
phase 5.
Yeah. Now, a big part of the sort of reaching this point of the it doesn't work and we don't know why is that it has been spitting out these very detailed specifications that, I haven't sat down with a red pen and gone through this line by line and verified exactly what it's going to do.
Yeah.
So
actually, you know what? I think I think part of the problem here is that the media playback is not yet wired to the UI. So that was supposed to happen in phase 6.
Yes.
But there's nothing in phase 6 that mentions connecting those sliders and the mute things to the UI playback.
Let's ask it.
So
we're going to ask it, and then we're going to stop this because I have to go and do some stuff. So the mute controls question. The mute controls and audio volume sliders don't work. Please refer to the implementation plan and tell me in which phase these are going to be connected.
There we go. That works. But let's sort of try and be as positive about this as we can. let's treat this as a learning experience, shall we, children? This does highlight this is what's happening when we're using spec-driven development and trying to be very thorough and precise and everything, and we've still got ourselves into a little bit of a pickle. And so then, compare that to vibe coding, and wonder why, these people are going, build this, build this, build this, who don't explicitly go, apply authentication and authorization to the /admin page, and then wonder why their website gets sort of taken down or whatever.
So, I mean, it's, what I think is happening is there is something like this. I think you bring a certain set of, certainly I brought a set of assumptions to it, and it is very hard as a human being to go into any process with a genuinely open mind, because either you want something to be true or you want to prove that it isn't. Because either you want it to be true and then you can update your mental model of reality and move on, or you want to prove that it isn't, so you don't have to update your mental model of reality and you can go back to the stuff you were doing yesterday. And for me, this is definitely kind of going from things I think are going to fail and then they work. And when that happens, it's like, oh, maybe I was being too cynical about it. And then things I thought, oh, that's going to work, and it doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I was right to be cynical. And it, you kind of swing backwards and forwards and end up at a position in the middle. So what's broken and why?
Yeah, it's basically said that the engine was created in.
They're not in any planned phase yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it saves the changes to the .show file. It just doesn't apply them to the audio. So yeah, basically tell it to create a phase 6.1 or something.
We can,
and then we can pick it up next time.
Next week's thing. So
yeah. So yes, nice, interesting question here. So I think if Dylan's not available on Monday, I'm going to do a just me stream on Monday afternoon, 2:00, where you can just jump on and ask me questions, and we can talk about stuff. And I'll and if nobody asks anything, I'll sing a song until you do. I know a song that gets on everybody's nerves. But no, so there are some great questions. There are some great questions coming through, and you know, I've got like all 9 months of experience with this stuff. But shut up, Jonathan, you love my singing. But yes, no, Niak, I seem to spend a lot of tokens arguing and wasting time with agents running cheaper models. Is Opus worth it over something like Minimax? Opus is definitely worth it for that initial requirements gathering, and the architect kind of designed the system, although apparently the architect forgot to add a phase where we hook the bloody user interface up to the underlying engine. But we've been using Sonnet. We have been favoring Sonnet in this. The Claude Max subscription, if it's at all, you know, every company that's paying programmers, it would be ridiculous not to give every single one of them an extra $200 a month to spend on Claude Max. That should just be bare minimum. But one thing I think is interesting, and one thing we could talk about next week, is are there things that you could use a local model for and use a combination? So use Claude Opus for doing your planning, requirements gathering, high-level architecture, all that sort of stuff. Use Sonnet for some of the development tasks, but actually maybe, you know, if you've got 64 gigs or 128 gigs of RAM available to you in your Mac, then yeah, by all means, grab Minimax or Quen 3.5. In what though? In total?
It's in a Windows. Well, 64 gigs of it is currently sat here on a shelf. But there are slots for it. It's just if I put it in, everything slows down a little bit.
It crashes the AMD processor because it can't.
It doesn't crash it. You just can't run it at 6,000 DDRs.
But the problem with that is that's CPU memory, and you want something that the GPU can use, because this is essentially running floating point operations in massively parallel situations, and so it needs to run CUDA or over on the Apple side of things, you use MLX, which is Metal, which is, you know, the equivalent thing.
So we're going to come back to this next week. It will be interesting. So what I'm wondering now is, this has entirely been like a total learning curve experience, and I'm wondering if when we baked those persona files right at the beginning, we had included something like, do not put any UI elements on that are not wired up, and you know, these kinds of things, trying to take more of the instinct is a horrible word to use for it, but just stuff that seasoned front-end developers and desktop developers do without having to be told, and wiring some more of that into it. So anyway, right, thank you for tuning in, folks. You'll be back in half an hour, won't you? And I'll be heckling in the chat while I get ready for the open mic. So
yes, hang on a moment. Let me just go into here and do view on YouTube, and I'm going to put those things. So here's a YouTube link. Shut up. And here is a Twitch link. Well, if you're on Twitch, it's basically going to be the same channel that if you're on my Twitch, and if you're on Dylan's, then you can switch over to mine. But yes, in 33 minutes, I will be doing that thing. And yeah, Monday, 2:00 UTC, GMT. I will jump on and we'll just have a chat. You can ask me questions. I can do my best to answer them.
And if anyone happens to be in Southeast London, I'm going to the open mic at the Stuffed Walrus in Perry Vale, so I'll be there later tonight.
Yes.
Tatty bye.
See you later.